and welcome back to LinkedIn Logs, your business and job podcast. I'm your host, Chad White. This is a podcast from the website cpluscomedy.com. Like I just said, it's a website. Go there. I don't think I know anything to say for the title of this show, for anything. I just don't know how to run stuff anymore. I've become insane with my lucid ideas, and now I'm just rambling to see if I could fill time. Okay, here we go. Oh, great. I got this timer going. Oh, baby. The time is wrong, though. I'm charging my phone. My watch is busted. The screen doesn't light up anymore. The watch face has been popping off. You see, I cracked it a couple of months ago. This is the longest watch I've owned, my Garmin Vivo Active 4. I've had it for 7 years. Before that, I had a Vivo Active HR, and that died. I missed 3 generations of that watch. And then I got this Vivo Active 4. I called them. I said, I went into the pool and my watch just stopped working. It's supposed to be, you can swim with these things. It was the 4th of July. I was dating a girl. Went to her friend's pool party at their apartment complex. Too many people. It died. And I was so sad. I was without a watch for about a week and some change. And then called them. They said, we will buy the watch back from you. We'll give you a discount on this new one. It was like $400. And I bought it. Can't do that now. I doubt they'll let that happen again. We'll see. I'm going to call them. Yeah, I've had this for 7 years. You think they'd buy this back? I super glued the face back to the thing. It was funny. I was doing yoga on Sunday, and it was Usher. It was Usher themed yoga on Peloton from Dr. Chelsea Roberts. I was getting ready for the Super Bowl halftime show, just the halftime show, and the watch face. This is the second time it happened because the week before on leg day when I was boxing. I box every Thursday. No big deal. But I was boxing and it fell off. I was doing some box jumps after the boxing and it just went. And I went, what is this microchip thing on the ground? I went, oh my God, it's my watch face. I plugged everything back in. The workout was still going, and then I twisted the watch face back on. Didn't think about it. Sunday, boom, falls off. And I super glued it. Used some Gorilla Glue. This episode's not brought to you by Gorilla Glue or Garmin. But if they wanted to sponsor, I would take that into consideration. I don't make money off this. I don't make money off of anything I do for cpluscomedy.com. I think that's what people need to understand. It's so fun. When I was when I graduated college and I was 21 years old, and my mom was like, don't tell Jobs about, don't say you have the portfolio thing. She called it a blog, probably. She didn't say portfolio. I say portfolio. I also don't call it a blog. It's not a blog. I pay for everything. I don't say content, but she was like, don't tell them about that because then they'll say, oh, he makes money from that. He'll never want to do it. But now we're in a world where everybody's got a brand and they do this and they do that. And if you don't have that, then they're going to be questioning you. But when I do interviews, when I get lucky enough to get an interview, oh my God. Oh, if a company wanted to talk to me. This is why I don't do dating apps, because you have to know me. I'm not good at pimping myself. Dating app pimping. Although I would be a good gigolo. Remember that show Gigolos on Showtime? But I'm not good at promoting myself. One, because I'm humble, as Jesus taught us. 2, because I don't need to do that. I mean, my body of work should be able to speak for itself. How many people? Just saying. I'm again being humble. As the year, what in the world Did this timer? Okay, first of all, that's what was counting down. I'm doing the stopwatch. The timer, I just typed in timer on Google, and this is insane. Okay, anyway, now we're just doing the stopwatch. Fantastic. It was like, Chad, time's up. That story, whatever you're saying, is bad. But I'm better at, like, look at my body work. How many people do you know have been doing their own thing for as long as I have? Not as well. And even in the midst of being told no by literally every single job in the world, they still do it. Maybe that's the definition of being psychotic, is doing something and getting the same result over and over again. But here I am. Here I stand. That's your Usher song. Listen to it. I've done a lot. I've done a lot, and it's gonna have to. I can't wait till somebody takes notice, because I swear to God, if I have to go and continue working part-time jobs, I'm gonna jump out a window and not regret it. Head first. I'll be like a Assassin's Creed, except there won't be a bale of hay to catch me. And at least I will have aged better than those games. Go back and play Assassin's Creeds 1 through 3 and tell me that they're good still. I'll tell you, and the day when they came out, they were fantastic. But there's still some things that are hampering. Let's get to it. This is a job podcast. Why am I talking about this? Because I need content. Content. YouTube. Last week I talked about CNN laying off a bunch of people, a bunch of jobs. A bunch of people. They laid off jobs. They laid off a bunch of people from CNN This Morning, which is now being revamped into a different show. Well, which is being another early start. The 4 a.m. show is now being named CNN This Morning. And then CNN News Central, the show I worked on, that is being moved up to 7 a.m. And then all of the jobs for CNN, what did I just say? This Morning? Is that what it's called? Have been moved to Atlanta. Now, I know they've been moved to Atlanta because as I was talking to my mother on the phone on Sunday, I looked up, because she only talks to me about jobs. She doesn't give a hoot about anything else in my life. She's mad I got a dog. She's mad I have a cat. It's very true. She's mad I choose to still live in this city at an apartment complex that charges me $2,300 a month. I was working at Cartoon Network. I could afford this. It's very true. My stopwatch on my phone is still active from when I was making coffee. I'm glad I interrupted the show just to look down at that. I felt a vibration. Oh, somebody looked at my LinkedIn profile. Things are happening. Finance specialist at Equitable Advisors. I've never heard of that. I don't know what that is. And I looked up, and all the jobs are now officially posted onto the Warner Brothers Workday. 8 minutes in, I'm talking about this. These jobs include the likes of the graphics operators, the ones who run the chyrons and lower thirds and all that stuff, the editorial producers, associate writers, writer-producers, things of that nature. I applied to, I think there were 50 jobs that were supposed to be moving to Atlanta, and I've applied to, it looks like, why is never mind. My apartment complex emailed and said, last minute Valentine's Day gifts. Who are you to offer me that? Anyway, I applied to, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then a seventh random job. But I applied to 6 jobs that I am quote unquote overqualified for one of them. And the other ones fall within, for 2 of them. And the other ones fall within the purview of, I gotta stop doing thumbs up, of what I've been able to do or what I've done. Now, the problem with a lot of these companies is that sometimes they post ghost jobs and they already have people in mind for these jobs. I mean, the point is, people in New York could, if they wanted to, move to Atlanta, then they could have applied for these jobs again. I mean, they should have been allowed to keep the jobs if they wanted to move, but it's neither here nor there. This is how these companies work. So I applied to a lot of the open jobs, especially for the newly minted 10 a.m. show, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. show, which is hosted by Jim Acosta. I assume it's the 10 a.m. show hosted by Jim Acosta because it does say 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. The producer jobs, I'm right in line for. I mean, I should be right in line for, rather. Like, it's, when looking at the qualifications, I do have the blank amount of years, the 3+, I'm not hiding anything, the 3+ years of experience, of news production experience. I have more than that. I have more news experience than the children they hire that went to UGA and Clemson and whatever other BS schools, and they don't have anything except for that, and they're 22 years old. I have more news production experience. And then all they have, and then after that is truly just a 4-year degree from college, awareness of guest panelists' political leanings, the ability to multitask. Like, come on. How am I not getting phone calls? And then there's writer-producer, which I applied for. Now that one's a little bit trickier. The writing I have knowledge in and I have experience in isn't technically broadcast news writing. It's digital. I have digital news writing. I've got regular writing, English writing, not English writing, creative writing. But that's, I mean, besides the 2 to 5 years of broadcast political producing / writing, first of all, if it's political producing, I've done that. But 2 to 5 years of broadcast writing, I've fit into everything else. Proficient in the iNews, whatever tools they use, ability to think quick. I mean, what more could you want? Truly. And they have doubles of a lot of these jobs, the associate producer, writer producer, editorial producer. So I've applied to those. And then the last one I applied to was TNT Sports Research and Insights Coordinator. I don't know much about data, but I am willing to learn. And that's the thing. There's a lot of places that aren't willing to teach. And you can say, oh, well, you have to do this. No, there's a lot of companies that kind of expect you to already know things that you've never done before. That's not even with just big companies. That's like with small companies too, like this stupid little part-time job I have, where they're like, you don't know clay tennis courts? And I'm like, no, because I don't hang out at country clubs. Now, what do you do? What I do when I fill out an application? Am I a person that constantly changes up the cover letter? When it comes to, I don't think I should be able to write 1 or 2 cover letters, and I shouldn't have to change it up for every single job, especially if it's at the same company. If more or less, the difference between editorial producer, associate producer, and writer producer is, one writes a lot. One is producing, political stuff. One is under the person that produces political stuff. It's all kind of the same mess. And it really shouldn't, whatever robot AI that they have looking at your resume, your cover letter, it shouldn't really matter. They should be like, well, I mean, this person's got this. And that's it. Again, I've already gone over the application status of Workday. But typically, when it says under consideration, you've already passed that part where it's the robot, the AI, the whatever that's scanning your documents. And all of those jobs I've applied for are under consideration. I pass all the time. All it takes from me is getting a recruiter to actually look at it. And more often than not, I don't think that actually happens. Now, here's this. On LinkedIn, they posted those same jobs, editorial, associate, and writer-producer positions. And I didn't know this. Again, I applied on Monday, but Sunday is when I saw them. On LinkedIn, they were posted last Thursday. That's 4 days, 4 or 5 days. And I only saw like it'll on LinkedIn it'll say like 100 applications or whatever. I only saw 4 applications. For some of them, I saw none applications, which means I should at minimum be one of 5 people now. And again, I know some of these recruiters. I know that I am LinkedIn connected with a lot of these recruiters. Don't want to get too specific about one recruiter in particular who refuses to answer my emails and who told me that I was not qualified for a writing position, even though I definitely was. And this may or may not have happened a week and a half ago. And then when I responded to that email, this person might not have responded. And I went to their LinkedIn yesterday, and they post minimum twice a day. Minimum. When I fill out the applications, especially when it comes to Workday, sometimes, not every Workday, but some Workday applications, the Warner ones, allow you to use the last application. So I'm just doing that all the time. But you shouldn't. But it forces you to go through the pages and still check on boxes. Like if you, it should know I'm black by now. Warner should know I'm black by now. They should know I'm a straight male and I did not serve in the military and I have no disabilities. We have all this technology. We can put an Apple Vision Pro on our head and click around with our fingers, but then we still can't get a web page to remember who we are. I'll give up cookies for that, man. I'll let them have my cookies on this website. And when it comes to, I also applied to a bunch of jobs on Vox. I've done this before. Vox never gives me a chance. This is very funny. I applied to a bunch of writing positions for Vox, which I am more than capable of doing. Let me tell you that. And an editorial producer, an editor for an Atlanta-based editor. They're asking specifically for an Atlanta-based editor for another website. What is this? I don't know what that is. An editor for a gaming website. And if you know Vox, then you know exactly the last 2 roles I was talking about. And a senior editor, which I don't think I am qualified for. I'll tell you that much. For culture and features. So a lot of these are writing. They're all writing roles. And I know in particular this gaming website has no people of color because I unfollowed them years ago because of that very distinct thing. And wouldn't it be great to get that job after all you do is hire the same people that look like each other. And I fill out the applications, but for this one in particular, they use like Greenhouse. I think that's Greenhouse. They use Greenhouse, which is their application platform, their portal. And I applied. It's a very simple form. It doesn't remember anything, so you have to fill everything out. And then you can attach your resume or enter it manually. And you can also attach a cover letter or enter it manually. So I take advantage of that enter manually. Usually I write something or I tweak some cover letter thing and try to make it whatever, which I hate doing. This is the only task I use AI for, which is I'll say please. I always say please to my AI. Please do this. Please write this cover letter, with the following things, and then please include my qualifications. And then it does it, and then I tweak that. Then I post, and then I'll send it into Vox or whomever who's using the Greenhouse platform. And then yesterday, I said, you know what? I'm just going to write something from the heart. I've been applying to Vox for years. Like, I'm not kidding, years. And I am, again, more than capable of doing whatever jobs they have there. This is going to sound so stupid, but I just wrote, hello, Vox. My name is Chad White, based in Atlanta, blah, blah, blah. I went, look, I've been applying here for years, and I can do any job. I didn't say exactly this, but I can do any job, blah, blah. And it just sucks because I feel like you guys, I'm always denied so quickly. And I feel like you all never look at anything and all this stuff. And I was like, if given a chance, if given an interview, I can at least impress you in that way, because this is hard. And it is hard. It's hard to be like, for somebody to look at you and you have like 6 jobs, and then you're not including 10 other jobs on your resume, that have nothing to do with what you want to do. And you're just going, I've done this. Please, hello, recognize me. You have open roles. You keep posting for the same role over and over again. Just friggin' hire me. And we'll see if that pays off. I use that same cover letter for every single one of those roles. Just pay attention. Just do it. And that's how you fill out an application. That's how I filled my application. And I'm sick of giving them the same shit over and over again. The same stuff. I'm so sick of it. I'm not going to bleep that out because it's too much work and I want to put this out immediately. I'm just so sick of always, no, I'm not a veteran. Here are the jobs I've done. If you ask for my jobs and there's already, like, if the jobs are in the resume and then you ask me later for the jobs to fill out and then you ask me another time to fill out things, I'm not going to do that. If it's too much work to apply for the job, that job's not worth it. And you might be saying, oh, you have to dig down deep and believe. No, that's BS. I don't want to do that. I shouldn't have to put in the jobs 7 separate times. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy and paste from the resume, or I'm just going to write down producer and I'm going to write see resume. I'm not doing that again. And I don't have to. I'm not going to go just because I don't talk about what's in my head and I'm all sad and everything, blah, blah. No, I'm just going to do that. I'm putting in the job and I'm doing it. I'm not going to post a LinkedIn about how tough my struggles are because I'm going to stop talking. Anyway, this last bit comes from George Salazar over at The Hollywood Reporter. Paramount's going to lay off 800 staffers as CEO unveils broad streamlining costs effort. We knew layoffs were going to come from Paramount at some point. They desperately tried not to get to layoffs because they wanted to sell, but no one's going to be buying up Paramount, I think, as a whole. I mean, if anything, just sell to Warren Allen. What's his name? Byron Allen. Warren Allen. Sell to Byron Allen. He's the only one who's willing to take on that kind of debt. What was it, like $12 billion, something like that, he said, or $4 billion, something like that. Bob Backish, who you can follow on LinkedIn, said there's going to be 800 job reductions in the U.S. and cuts abroad over time. They've already stopped producing and buying shows from foreign countries. The company had about 24,500 employees as of its last 10K disclosure, which reflects staff count in December 2022. Unfortunately, part of streamlining costs, Backish wrote in a memo, means that today we will begin the difficult process of saying goodbye to some of our very valued colleagues at Paramount. We will be notifying impacted employees who are based in the U.S. by the close of business day. This is very interesting because they just had the Grammys. They just did a gigantic Super Bowl coverage showcase for the past week. I think Nate Burleson just got back yesterday, and he was on CBS this morning. They had the Super Bowl on Nickelodeon. They had the highest rated TV thing in the world ever at 123 million viewers. It was up 7% this year. Isn't that crazy? That's a ratings record. Backish also wrote, there will also be impacts in some of our offices based outside the U.S., quote unquote, over time. He concluded, these adjustments will help enable us to build on our momentum and execute our strategic vision for the year ahead, and I firmly believe we have much to be excited about. I don't know what they have to be excited about. I mean, they've got the Sonic movie. They've got a Sonic spin-off TV show starring Knuckles. And then what else? Paramount Plus is bleeding. They just like Warner Brothers Discovery are taking things off of their streaming service. They were hit just as hard with the strikes as everybody else. They're finally premiering their shows this week. FBI, NCIS, everything's coming back. After Midnight is their newest show, and it truly has $0 to its name. So what could they be excited about? Part of BET is up for sale. They're shutting down MTV News. Showtime had to be merged with Paramount Plus. I can't see them having anything more spectacular to look forward to this year. Because if the Super Bowl, obviously the idea to lay off staffers came before this coverage of the Super Bowl. But if the Super Bowl couldn't save them, if it couldn't right the wrongs, if it couldn't right the ship, then what is the thing that's supposed to change for them? Paramount stock is down 7% as Sherry Redstone is speculated to be evaluating offers to sell part or all of the media empire. In its last quarterly earnings disclosure, Paramount topped revenue estimates for how much it could cut losses. Jesus, I'm dying. In its streaming unit, only losing $238 million, but faces persistent questions about whether it can scale up to compete with much larger rival companies like Netflix or Disney. I think part of the problem is the app is not built out, and it needs also a little bit more reach. You can subscribe to ESPN Plus, for instance, and get it on Disney Plus. Not on Disney Plus, on Hulu, as opposed to using the ESPN Plus app. You can also get Max on Prime. You can get Max on Hulu. Spread yourself. There was a point when, before everybody had their own app, it was just Netflix, Hulu, and then CBS All Access became its own thing. That was so interesting because it was one of the quickest growing streaming services at that point. It just, because, it was middle America. People could just get CBS All Access and get access to CBS stuff as opposed to subscribing to cable. But now they're in a landscape where everybody's got an app and they have to go toe to toe with Netflix and Disney while also trying to fight off Paramount Plus and the likes of Tubi or Pluto. And then they bought up Pluto TV. Whatever they're doing is not working, obviously, and they need something. And 10 years ago, everything they're doing now would have made them the number 3 or number 2 studio in the world. Paramount would have been, if they had a Sonic the Hedgehog movie 10 years ago that was this good, this series was this good, then things would be changing for them. If Showtime was at kind of a peak then. If MTV News was still, in its 90s phase, early 2000s phase, and if BET had these the same type of streaming ambitions, because they have a lot of shows and movies on BET Plus, then that would position them, along with other things, alongside Paramount Network, which has Yellowstone. If Yellowstone came out years ago, if The Loud House was on years ago, alongside SpongeBob and whatever shows were still Fairly Odd Parents, things that were so popular back then they would have nothing to worry about. But they still have this kind of 2010, 2015 mentality when they need to look ahead to 2024. People aren't going to pay for Paramount Plus if the app is not that good and if shows and movies are being taken off and canceled left and right. But I don't have an answer there. I think truly the best idea for them right now would be to merge or to sell things off or to get in cahoots with somebody. Warner, Disney, and Fox Sports, they have this new sports streaming app that's probably going to be $40 to $50. Maybe you should get in line with them and say, hey, we can offer up some soccer stuff. This would be great. Put us in the run up with it. And then also, maybe create app pairs with Peacock and Verizon, and go to Verizon or go to T-Mobile, go to AT&T, Google Fi, whomever, Mint, and say, if subscriber, and try to work out a deal. If subscribers for Mint Mobile are at this tier, then they get free Peacock and free Paramount Plus, or reduced pay or whatever like that. The unfortunate part is, even in the world where they are mostly just a broadcast network, Paramount Plus, where it's mostly CBS stuff and Showtime stuff that is being touted on that, because I rarely see a lot of Nickelodeon and Paramount Plus or Paramount Network efforts on there. They're still being compared next to Netflix and Disney Plus and Max, which I think are three different monsters when compared to those, even if Paramount Plus has Showtime. Listen, if you like what you heard here, I don't know why you wouldn't. Head to the website cpluscomedy.com, where you can see me talk to your favorite comedians and other entertainment-based people. This week, I will be talking to the cast of Resident Alien over on Sci-Fi. It's a fun show. I watched the first season. I did not finish the second season, which I did let them know in the interview. It's like, guys, listen, I fell off the second season. But you know what? Sometimes you got to be honest. Guys, let me tell you, the second season, not my bag. No, it's different. It's a good set of interviews. Check it out. You can watch a video version of those interviews under the interviews on youtube.com/C+comedy, where you can also see a video version of this show, along with video versions of the other shows, The Constitutionals, which is the entertainment business podcast, and Late Night Lately, which is the late night podcast. You can subscribe to all these podcasts wherever you get your podcasts. You can also follow us on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook at C+Comedy, me at Chad Black White. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.